What's up, gamers? This is Motorboat, and I'm submitting Sonic Adventure 2 Battle Hero Story for this marathon. So the first stage is going to be Cityscape, where you start off in this boarding section as Sonic. You can do an A before you do a trick on the ramp, which actually gives you a little bit of extra distance and saves a little bit of time each time you do it. On the middle ramp, you don't want to do that because you'd get too much distance and run into the wall. There, if I didn't mess up the strat, I could have jumped over the speed pads and gone to the rail a bit quicker. So coming up, I'm gonna attempt the Cityscape skip. So the way you attempt Cityscape skip, which I got right now, is you do a ramp jump off of that ramp with a large amount of speed, and that should send you flying to this part of the stage. So because of the way I do Cityscape skip, I get a bit of an awkward camera, but it's not too bad once you get used to it. So in truck section, I want to chain my spin dashes so that basically I stick to every hill, because staying on the ground is faster than flying off of it. So 125 Cityscape is alright. It's not too great, but it's alright. So after Cityscape is going to be the first boss, which is Bigfoot. Now in Bigfoot, you're going to want to get to the box in front of Bigfoot and jump to Bigfoot. And the way to optimize this is basically by removing as many iframes in between each hit as possible. So that was a pretty good Bigfoot. I don't think it'll be frame perfect. No, it was a few frames off. But yeah. If you see Sonic like stalling, like not hitting him immediately, that's a good sign, because that means Sonic has to wait until the iframes run out. So in Wild Canyon, you want to collect 3 pieces of the Master Emerald, which are randomly generated, and I actually went in the direction of the wrong one, but I happened to see this one on the way back up. This is pretty awkward. So yeah, you want the pieces to be as close to each other as possible to save time. A 26 is alright. You want to get somewhere in the lower 20s range, but anywhere below 30 is acceptable. Now after Wild Canyon is going to be Eggman 1. In Eggman 1, you basically want to shoot Eggman 1. And when Eggman 1 is dead, you're done with the boss. So yeah, you just sit here and press B. Maybe dodge his bullet, but that's pretty much it. A 1279 is pretty good. You can save like another 0.15 or 17, something like that, if you do it frame perfectly, but you know, you just hold up and press B. So now is Prison Lane. Now this is the first Tails stage, and as Tails, you're gonna wanna conserve your speed as much as possible, and around corners you're gonna jump, because that saves more of his speed than taking the corner. And there I do something called gate hop, where I go from the first rail to the next one, and I skip having to take the elevator, which saves a few seconds each time. So here I'm gonna go to the back of this elevator, and the reason I do that is so that I can reach an enemy to lock onto right there, and I can shoot him a bit earlier than normal, so I don't have to shoot him while I approach that gate. Most of Prison Lane is shooting enemies and going through the gate that they guard. So there I broke those boxes from the other side, so I don't have to jump over them here. I can just do one whole jump. So there I got that enemy a bit quicker than normal. And here I'm gonna do another gate hop. Oh, I guess I'm not. So I messed up the gate hop, which is gonna lose me a few seconds. So I'm gonna get like 140 as opposed to like 138 or 137. Yeah. So that was some unfortunate time loss, but there's not much you can do about it. Well, there's nothing you can do about it.
That was easy.
So now Metal Harbor is the next Sonic stage, and you pick up what's called the light dash. And what I did at the start was called underloop, where I go underneath the loop. So the light dash basically allows you to follow trails of rings, and it's not always the most responsive thing, like at all, but it is faster to pick it up, unfortunately, for hero story runs. So there I could have done something called pulley skip, but I opted not to go for it, just to be safe. So there I got under that barrier quickly by holding B, because holding B gives you the properties of a somersault without actually playing the somersault animation. And so I actually got up to that rocket immediately by jumping off that slope surface, and I'm gonna press A a bit early so that I can get off of that rocket quicker than normal. So this Metal Harbor seems to be pretty good. I think it'll be like a 122 or 123. 122, that's a pretty good Metal Harbor, especially considering I didn't go for pulley skip, which can save about a second, I think.
Barely made it. So far, so good.
So now we're gonna enter Shadow 1, and in Shadow 1 you're gonna use storage again, and we're gonna do that because while you're in storage, while pressing B, you're gonna have the properties of a somersault, like I said, so you can go under barriers, and you can also damage bosses and enemies. So I'm gonna do that to Shadow, and I'm just gonna chain 3 hits like that. So I did a thing where I sort of do a mini spin dash jump away from him. That's a recent discovery where it actually makes it so that Shadow doesn't jump at all. So normally you would just do like a jump away without like a spin dash or anything, and Shadow wouldn't do it. Shadow would do a jump which had a 20% chance of being a low jump, which is optimal, and has an 80% chance of doing a high jump, which is losing time. But actually, if you get away from Shadow fast enough, you can avoid that RNG jump whatsoever and just hit him again. Now, in Green Forest, I'm going to attempt a trick called Green Forest Wall Run. In Green Forest Wall Run, you basically run up a wall, manipulating the way that the loops work. So loops give you some speed called loop speed, and you can manipulate that by not only getting a speed boost in certain areas, but also by in Green Forest Wall Run, you're gonna use it to keep your gravity in a funny position so that you can run up the tree, which we're gonna do in a moment. So Green Forest has some weird vertices that you can run off of and lose like a second or two each time. So that right there was the wall run. I personally prefer to buffer it. I actually messed up, so I'm gonna have to go up the rest of the tree normally. What I was trying to do was jump off at the end and do a trick called Task Run, which would have saved like 2 seconds over doing the normal strat, but since I messed it up, I'm gonna lose a lot more time than that. But that's okay. I got Vertiseed there, which is losing me a bunch of time in this stage. Overall, this stage has not gone as well as it could have, but that's okay. The run's still okay. So now is the next Knuckles stage, which is Pumpkin Hill.
No problem.
In Pumpkin Hill, there are basically 3 mountains that pieces are located on. And you also get an upgrade called Shovel Claws. And what the Shovel Claws let you do is dig in certain surfaces. Like all of those dirt texture things are diggable. So you can get certain pieces that you can only get by digging. So yeah, Pumpkin Hill is a relatively simple stage. Just need to go to one of the 3 mountains and grab whatever piece you're trying to get. Oh, so my first piece was somewhere closer to Ghost, so I'm gonna guess that is his church, and it is. This piece actually is a 50-50, and it could be either at the bottom of church or like on the ghost train side of the map. And I think in that scenario, it could have been either one, because the piece I got was a path line with rings, which is like, I think it's a little closer to the ghost train, so technically church was a bit more likely to happen, but I think could have been either one. So this is actually a really bad start, and I'm really sad right now, so I'm just gonna cry. So in Mission Street, you wanna get the cycles as fast as you can, but I did not go really fast, so I'm just gonna skip through everything. Normally, if I had gone relatively fast, I could wait during the upgrade, and what that would do was it would save me in-game time and be the same in real time, because the cycles continue to move even though the game timer is paused. So there I get a 47 check. Had I done a good start and done IGT abuse, I would have gotten like a 43 or 44 check. So I'm losing a few seconds because of that. So here I'm gonna try to make a cycle, which is called Zero Cycle. It's not too hard to get as long as you don't mess up too bad. I think this should be, yeah, this seems to be good enough. Yeah, so Zero Cycle is not too hard to mess up, not too hard to get, as long as you only make like one sort of major mess up, and even that has to be like at most a second worth of mistakes. So it's relatively tight for new players, but it should be pretty consistent to get. If you're good at the game, I mean, like if you have practiced this stage enough. So I kind of got screwed at the beginning and the end of the stage, so the time isn't going to be great, but at least I got Zero Cycle, which is cool. Now after Mission Street is the next Knuckles stage, which is Aquatic Mine. Aquatic Mine, there are water levels that you can adjust by hitting these switches. There's one main one that you want to hit at the beginning to move the water level to the bottom. And moving the water level to the bottom lets you to get basically every single piece. There are a few pieces that you have to do some special things to get if you have set the water level. So I checked for some free pieces there, and get the hint. That enemy could potentially have a piece in it, so you always want to check. So here you can do something where you clip through the sign if you go at the right angle. So this is pretty bad RNG because I had to go to Ghost Rune for piece 2 and now I have to go to the top for piece 3. So 52 is pretty unfavorable. You want to get something more like 30, at worst something in the 40s.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Now after Aquatic Mine is Route 101, which is 2 minutes of driving. That's literally what this stage is. So you want to drift as soon as you reach the first downhill, because drifting allows you to keep speed more than if you were not drifting. So speed from downhills and boosts you can maintain while drifting. So something interesting about the stage is if you restart your game, then you get a little boost at the start of Route 101, which saves a little bit of time. But if you don't do it, then you lose about 0.8 something at the beginning of the stage. I did not restart because I've been trying to get a decently commentated run for like an hour, but yeah. So now Route 101, there's not really much to talk about. You're just drifting and boosting at the top of hills. And so the only real time loss other than of like driving poorly, which I often do, is taking a death. And taking a death is very costly in Route 101 because if you take a death, you have to go straight to the beginning. You don't have any checkpoints or anything in this stage. You just go straight to the start. So there's also a weird thing where if you hit that blue car that just disappeared, the frame that it disappears, it like deloads the entire stage and you just fall through and die. So you might have seen that I hit the limo at around 2:17. I'll actually get a better time than that. See, I get a 2:16 because the game timer that's on screen is different from the one that's used there for some reason. So now we're going into Hidden Base. Hidden Base is the next tail stage. You want to break these doors and go through walls because the walls were not made to be very tall or thick. So what I did there is called pull jump, and so I basically skipped a whole lot. It actually only saved about 4 seconds overall, but you do get straight over here, and you need some pretty good pause hovers in order to get up on it. Actually, I don't think I've mentioned pause hovers. Basically, if you press A close to your jump input, you get extra height for some reason, and so a way to make that easier is to put a pause in between. So a lot of players, like basically everyone, uses pause hovers to get good hover jumps. So I'm going to do it here so that I can skip breaking both of these door thingies. So this is a pretty poorly done hidden base overall, but it should be sub 150. So here you can use hover jumps if you actually can press the buttons in the right order to go out of bounds and cut a corner. I almost died there. So also you can lock onto those dynamites from the other side of the pillar. So yeah, I messed up a lot at the end, so I got a 153, which is a pretty bad time. So now after hidden base is going to be Pyramid Cave. Now in Pyramid Cave, you're gonna do like a lot of little tricks that save little bits of time, and so hidden base is a pretty hard stage, and it's definitely the hardest stage. Wait, did I say pyramid base or something? Well, Pyramid Cave is the hardest Sonic stage by far. So you're gonna collect an upgrade called the Bounce Bracelet, which is the best upgrade in the game because it's really broken. Basically, if you bounce as you approach a wall with a high amount of speed, you get a super bounce, which is basically a bunch of height, and that's what I used to get over that door, because they didn't think that you would get that much height, so they didn't make it solid all the way up there, so you can just go over it. Now in Pyramid Cave, these tunnels are actually some of the hardest piece of movements in the stage. Now the last part of the stage, I'm gonna do something called snake skip, where I get on this snake and do a gravity manipulation to get over to the other side. And I'm gonna do another gravity trick at the end of the stage. There I tried to do a super bounce, but it missed. So 139 is pretty not good, but it's okay. I'm fine with that. So next is Death Chamber, which is another Knuckles stage, and in this Knuckles stage, instead of collecting pieces of the Master Emerald, you're collecting keys for something. So also you get these hammer gloves, and what the hammer gloves let you do is break those iron containers right there. So I got a piece called EO1, which is in the core, so I'm gonna grab this piece and then kill myself. And so the reason I kill myself is because there's a decent chance that I respawn in the red room with a piece that's in the red room, which I just did right now. So I just got the place where the bug used to be, so I just go here and grab it and just get my third piece. Here I'm gonna do something called booty clip, where you slide in between the wall and that object and just jump out, and you can glide out of bounds to get to certain areas. So yeah, that was a pretty decent Death Chamber. So now after Death Chamber is gonna be the next boss, which is King Boom Boo. In King Boom Boo, you want to, I'm gonna go for a relatively new strat, which is called Cat Boost, where basically you get hit by King Boom Boo's fire, and by doing so you get boosted. So I just did it right there. Unfortunately, I slightly messed up the timing, so I was not able to reach the hourglass. So I'm gonna have to do the rest of the fight normally. Well, not entirely normally, because you're meant to kill King Boom Boo in multiple cycles, but you can kill him in just one cycle if you do it right. So here, if you hold the right angle, you can just hit him again. So yeah, that was a pretty poorly done King Boom Boo because of the mistakes at the beginning. Normally you want to get something in the 37 or 38 range. Now the next boss is Egg Golem, and you're gonna use those super bounces again, but this time on really small platforms to get up to his head, instead of having to climb the platforms on his back. Unfortunately, Egg Golem is a really weird boss, so things like that happen. So now you let King Boom Boo slam his head, and then you can get his head thing, and then you get on his arm and get the last hit. And then you can kill yourself, which actually stops the timer a bit earlier, so you save a bit of in-game time. Doesn't save any real time, but saves some in-game time. Next after Egg Golem is going to be Eternal Engine. And so in Eternal Engine, what you want to do is do a skip that's relatively new called Bofa, where you break boxes and let the third box fall on you. And it's called Bofa because you break both of the boxes. So yeah, I'm gonna try to do it right here. I did not get it first try, so I'm gonna kill Tails to try it again. You could try it on the right side, but many players, including myself, prefer to only do it on the left side. So I'm gonna set up and try it again, which I got. For some reason, most runners, including myself, find it a lot easier to do the skip on your second try. Like, there seems to be an actual difference, but it is hard to tell what it is. So here the camera does a weird flip around, so the fastest way to do that is to pause the buffer and change your angles exactly when the camera inverts. But I'm not really good at doing that without pausing, so I just did the rotating the control stick method. So now we're approaching the end of the stage, and I'm gonna try to hit the goal ring while staying out of bounds, if I could find it there. So there's an invisible platform that you can stand on, and there, I got it. And after Eternal Engine, we're entering the final Knuckles stage, which is not Eternal Engine, it is Meteor Herd. In Meteor Herd, there's like 3 major sections, which is the bottom, middle, and top. So you don't want to have to go like from the top to the bottom back to the top. So hopefully the pieces are nice. And this first piece is pretty good. It's in the middle. Any piece in the middle is pretty good. I did not get the free piece that I checked for. So I grab the piece, come back and choose the hint. So this is going to be at the top. This set is so far decent. No matter what the third piece is, it should be alright. Alright, so this is like a 50. Could have been like a 50, but I messed up the execution a little bit. And so the only boss, no, never mind, I forgot, there's King Boom Boo. So the other boss for Knuckles is Rouge, and Rouge is a pretty simple boss. All you do is you glide into her, get the first hit, and then run away and just spam drill dive. It's a really easy boss. unless she decides to run around like she is now, but it's not that bad still. I kind of messed up the end of that. Should have gone like a 15 if I didn't mess up. So next is Crazy Gadget. Crazy Gadget has the Crazy Gadget skip, so, or CGSS. So I'm gonna be skipping most of the stage. So yeah. So you want to get to the first checkpoint and move the gravity. So yeah, you want to move the gravity to the left, and then you get over here and set up yourself, and then do a spin dash jump, and you can go out of bounds. And the reason you can go out of bounds is there's a little intersection where the kill plane, well, there's no kill plane, so you can just slide right through. Ideally, I would have gone like a sub 50, but a 50 is a decent Crazy Gadget. And of course, getting it first try is always great.
No problem.
Now is the last Eggman fight, which is Eggman 2. In Eggman 2, you want to, well, the strat I'm gonna try to manipulate his AI into the corner, but I messed it up a bit, so I'm gonna have to just fight him normally. So I got an 18, that's not great. I would ideally get like a 14, but that's okay. So next is Final Rush, which is the final stage in the game. It's just a skip. That's the entire stage. You do a skip, and you do the skip like other things by manipulating gravity and approaching it. Here, I'm gonna change my gravity so that I have an angle, and I'm gonna turn at 35.5. This was a pretty slow start to FR, so I'm gonna turn a bit later than I normally do. So by turning, I'm gonna reset the gravity back to normal, and now I'm gonna aim for the goal ring. So the reason that you have to do this is you want to avoid this big kill plane, and if you hit the kill plane, you die. So you just want to go around it, or just avoid it in some way. So yeah, now you're just holding up until you reach the end of the stage, which is approaching there. That's what the end of the stage looks like, guys. And so after this, there's just one more boss fight against Shadow 2, and then the run's over. So yeah. So a 122 is alright, considering I had a pretty bad start. I should have gone like a 121 if I played optimally, but yeah. So now I'm gonna fight against Shadow 2, which there's a strat for, where basically you want to chain homing attacks, and so you just get hits. So you keep doing this until Shadow is dead. So thank you for watching my submission video, and I hope you consider. This was a pretty good run.